Oh, hi there. Donald of Otakano Podcast here, back with yet another video cast. Well, since I haven't received any dead rodents or death threats, I'm assuming that you guys liked, or at least were able to barely tolerate, our first video cast. So, encouraged by that bit of good news, I'm back here for another one. Today, we're going to kick things up a notch and learn how to do rolled sushi. Yes, those rolls that you and I love to eat, we could finally make them here at home. So, without further ado, let's get on to the video cast. Enterprise, one to beam up. Greetings, and welcome once again to the Otaku no Podcast Test Kitchens. Today, we're going to kick things up a notch and talk about rolled sushi, or maki sushi. A little bit harder to make than inari sushi, still not that difficult, especially once you get the hang of it. And again, in today's examples, no raw fish is involved, so don't panic. The two types of rolled sushi we'll be making today should be familiar to anyone who's had any time in a sushi bar at all. We're going to be making kappa maki, or cucumber roll, and California roll. Kappa maki is so named because of the kappa, or Japanese sort of river goblin figures. They have little indentations in their heads where water pours in. And kappa are known to love cucumber. That's why the cucumber roll is named after them, the kappa maki roll. So, let's see what ingredients we'll need today. Now, most of these ingredients you should be familiar with from our last foray into sushi. We have, of course, Japanese short grain sushi rice. Remember, short grain is the best. If it says short grain or sushi rice on the package, you're all set. You can sort of get by with medium grain rice. The consistency is not quite there, but if that's all you got, then it'll work in a pinch. Of course, this is the seasoned rice vinegar. Again, make sure it's seasoned rice vinegar. This already has the sugar and the salt mixed into it that constitutes sushi vinegar. You can get plain rice vinegar and mix it in yourself, but why bother? Just get the seasoned stuff. And this time, you probably will want some wasabi, or Japanese horseradish. Again, comes in two forms: the paste form, which you squeeze out kind of like toothpaste, and the powder form, which you have to mix with water in the right proportions. Get the paste form, it's easiest. By the way, once you've opened up the tube of this stuff, it has to be stored in the refrigerator. So once it's been opened, it has to be refrigerated. Of course, we're not making inari sushi today, so we won't need inari pouches. What we will need is nori. Now, people who'll tell you that this is seaweed, they're either misinformed or lying to you. This is actually made up of green algae that's been kind of collected and dried out on racks. Honest. But it still tastes pretty good. You'll see these in both the small, thin packages and huge mega packages. You might be tempted to buy the larger package, buy in bulk and save money. Avoid that at all costs. This stuff, once it's been exposed to air, it degenerates very quickly. It gets all moist and damp and ugh. So get the small packages, and no matter how hard you try to reseal it, it just doesn't reseal properly. So just get the small packages of this stuff. You'll also need today cucumber. Now, this cucumber they call it English cucumber. I'm not sure what exactly makes it English, but any old cucumber you find in your store will do fine. You will also need avocado. There's several different kinds of avocado. I really like the Hass variety. They really taste the best. I've seen these really crappy avocados that come from Mexico. They just taste like garbage. Avoid those. Get Hass avocados. They're the best. A lot of people like to put sesame seeds on the outside of the rolls. Optional, but it tastes good. And finally, you will need kami, or crab, and that's crab with a K. This is really, it's imitation crab. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, I'll just use real crab. That'll taste really good. Then it's technically not a California roll. In order to be qualified as a California roll, it has to use this imitation crab. Now, a quick note about this if you have shellfish allergies. You might be thinking, oh, it's imitation, it's not real, so it must be okay. Wrong. Be very careful. Some of this stuff is actually flavored with real crab essence, which of course will set off your allergy. So look carefully on the package. Make sure it doesn't say something like naturally flavored, includes natural crab flavor, or flavored with crab broth or crab stock or something. Be very careful. Anyways, let's go on to the equipment. By now, you're no doubt familiar with our old friend, the rice cooker. Again, you can get fairly cheap ones, 20, 30 bucks, or you can get the really fancy fuzzy logic rice cookers, which are about 100, 150, some even 200 bucks. Really get the fuzzy logic cookers if you really like rice and you're going to use it a lot. They really make the best rice, and you can get them for about 100 bucks if you look around. This is a Zojirushi. It's a really good Japanese brand. I like it a lot. You'll also need your mixing bowl and your wire mesh strainer. And of course, our friend, the fan, the oke, or Japanese rice bowl, traditional wood rice bowl, and wooden rice paddle. You'll also need some bamboo sushi rolling mats. They come in two sizes. Get both sizes, because you'll need one size for regular rolls and the bigger size for California rolls. They're pretty cheap, maybe a buck or two. Get them at a Japanese market, pretty commonly available. You'll also need a knife. Just any Western style chef's knife or slicer knife will do. And saran wrap or plastic wrap. And finally, a cutting board. Wood cutting boards are great. Bamboo cutting boards are even better. They're really popular with chefs nowadays. They're lightweight, strong, durable, easy to clean. Do not use glass cutting boards. Nothing will kill your knife quicker than a glass cutting board. Avoid them at all costs. Anyways, let's get on to the rolls. You're going to want to make yourself a big old bowl of sushi rice. About a cup of rice if you're just you and maybe one other person. 2 or 3 cups if you've got a lot of friends over. And if you don't remember how to do the rice, go back to our first episode, or in brief, you basically want to wash the rice. Put your rice in a bowl, fill it with water, and you want to kind of swish it with your fingers and then press down gently. Do this for about 30 times, and then drain the rice, refill the bowl with water, and then just swish your fingers through the bowl for about a minute or so. Do not press down the second time. And then finally drain the rice and let it dry. It needs to dry for at least 1 hour, preferably several hours or even overnight. But if you let it dry for any longer than an hour or two, be sure and stick it in the fridge and periodically agitate it to make sure that you don't get any damp spots in the middle. Once your rice is dried, put an equal amount of water and the rice in the rice cooker. So for example, if you're making 1 cup of rice, put in 1 cup of water. And then turn on your rice cooker. When it's done, take the rice out, wet your wooden rice paddle, and use it to gently loosen the rice from the edges of the rice cooker bowl. Finally, dump your bowl out into your oke, which you should have moistened with water beforehand. Then pour out some sushi vinegar into the rice. For 10 parts rice, use 1 part sushi vinegar, or just eyeball it. And using your rice paddle, make a cutting motion with the blade of the rice paddle through the rice. This is to kind of break up the rice into, break up the big chunks of rice, and then gently fold in the sushi vinegar mixture into the rice. Be very careful. And once your rice has reached about roughly body temperature, it's ready to go. Now would be a good time to get some prep work out of the way. Let's start with the cucumber. Just slice it down the middle. Now you'll notice that the cucumber has a middle core of seeds. We don't like those. They're quite bitter and nasty. So what we want to do is we want to cut little thin slivers around the seeds. Kind of like this. Kind of like that. So just sort of like that. Sort of cut slices around the seeds. Again, like this. Anyways, you get the idea. Once you have some of those, you want to cut those into really thin strips. Rather like that. See? Nice thin strips. Now for the avocado, I've never really figured out the best way to